Okay, my friends, you know I have been doing all of the research on the mud fossils and finding all of the corroborating evidence that shows that the things they wrote in the past, the mythology was not far from right. It was very, very accurate in most cases. There were giants, there were dragons, were all the things that they wrote about. And these are the secret sayings that the living Jesus spoke and Didymus Thomas wrote down, who was doubting Thomas. And he said, whoever finds the interpretation of these sayings will not experience death. Well, that means that you have to seek to find the interpretation, obviously. Then he says, let him who seeks continue seeking until you find. Don't just say, oh, I'm seeking, oh, well, I give up. You got to keep seeking until you find. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all. The most important thing that he said in this whole text here, I mean, there is some very, very, very important things, and there is some things that are so confusing, I don't think anybody can possibly ever understand them. All they can do is come up with an interpretation of them, and that's what you have to do. Find an interpretation of these sayings, and you will not experience death. You don't have to know exactly what they say. But I'm going to tell you right now, number 50 will knock your socks off when I put it up against the secret sayings of John. Here it is, number 50 right here. Jesus said, if they say to you, where did you come from? All right? If anybody says to you, where did you come from? Well, how did you get here? Say to them, we came from the light. The place where the light came into being on its own accord and established itself and became manifest through their image. If they say to you, is it you? Say, we are its children. We are the elect of the living Father. We are the molecules of light that have been chosen by the Father. If they ask you, what is the sign of your Father in you? Say to them, it is movement and repose. Repose means just chilling out, just taking it easy, laying back. And movement is light and fury and explosion and violence and thunder. And repose is none of that. All right, where did you come from? We came from the light. We are the children of the light. This is from the secret book of John, which is... all of this is Gnosticism. It's knowledge. It's knowing, understanding. That was the other side of the religious realm, was dig, seek, understand. The other side was have faith, read, and repeat. I am on the Gnostic side. I say dig, 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 dig. Find out what you can find out, because what I'm finding out, everything else that they're saying on this side was just wrong. It was totally wrong. Whether they knew it was wrong, I don't know. They know it's wrong now, they don't care. I'm on this side. I care if something's right or wrong. Now, I just told you that Jesus said, we came from the light. We are the light. Now, and I have something to show you in the light realm that I have found the particles that Jesus was talking about. Listen to this. This is the one is the invisible spirit. This is basically the God of, it's not really a God, it's everything. You have to read the secret book of John to understand. It says the one is the invisible spirit. We should not think of it as a God or like a God, for it is greater than a God, because it has nothing over it and no Lord is above it. It does not exist within anything inferior to it. So it's superior to everything. So there's nothing, it's not inside of anything inferior. Since everything exists within it, for it established itself. All right? Somehow it established itself. It is eternal, never going to go away, since it does not need anything, for it is absolutely complete. It has never lacked anything in order to be completed by it. Now listen to this. Rather, it is always absolutely, completely in light. It exists in light. All right, you need to think carefully. Jesus said, if they say, where did you come from? We came from the light. The place where the light came into being on its own accord. Where does that happen? It just happens automatically from the sun. All stars, same thing, they radiate light. So where did you come from? We came from the light, the place where the light came into being on its own accord. And then those light particles established themselves and became manifest through their image, which is the God's image, a bunch of gods apparently, because it talks about more than one God, but there has to be one overwhelming presence that encompasses all that stuff. And that's what the secret book of John talks about. As I said before, there's nothing above it. It's complete and it's perfect, and there is nothing above it that is inferior to it or is anything above it at all. It is everything, and it is perfect in its completeness. But underneath, it has all kinds of realms that are not perfect, and some of them are absolutely terrible. And there are apparently, when we go back to being the light that we were before we were actually creatures, we were light, because there is nothing that exists that is not light. We came from the light where it came into being of its own accord. Let me show you what light is. And light congeals, it condenses just like water, just like moisture condenses into water. Light condenses into matter. Exact same thing. All right, there's no other way to do this other than to get deep into the chemistry and the physics of this, and how these end up turning into body parts and people and creatures and DNA strands and all that stuff. And I will show you that. And it's not that deep. It's just that you have to get outside of what you were indoctrinated to believe. In other words, like I said before, this is not what a proton looks like, one big ball that's solid and you can only smash it with an atom smasher. No, it's all a bunch of little particles like this. All right, and these can change. These were not all created in the Big Bang, which there was no. There's so much wrong. Just watch what I have to show you. That's all I can say. You see this? This is Fermilab. These are light particles. There's a black one, and then there's a bright one. These are the smallest things that exist. Not only that, these being the smallest things that exist, being light, the universe is saturated with these light particles, because they are particles, as I will show you. And it says right here, Fermilab says the universe, empty space isn't empty, it's filled with these particles. They blink on and off all the time because they're banging into each other. And when they bang, they pop up with light. That makes light. See, there's the particles from Fermilab. We found them in our light experiments. And these are the bright ones. They can get big and small. The black ones never change. Exactly what Fermilab says. Then putting it through a Venturi, what happened was the black separated from the white. That's fission. That's fusion when they come back together, which they did. So here is light accelerating, not supposed to happen. Here's light exploding and doing a subatomic nuclear explosion. Fission and fusion, and right here is raw electron showers. This is an enormous increase in luminosity, which means an enormous increase in energy. See this? Light spins. All right. In other words, light is not like a flappy wave. It's a spinning particle. All right. So let's say you got a light here. You got a piece of light. This is what happens. It spins like this. It basically screws through the atmosphere. If there is no atmosphere, if in a vacuum, it's just nothing's pushing back at it. I agree. It's nothing should slow it down. But there is no such thing as a vacuum. First of all, just like Fermilab says, there's no empty space. It's continuously writhing with particles. Just look it up. It's called quantum foam, Fermilab. So this is going to hit and bang and bang. So it comes through real fast. Fast means like this. See it here? It's like this. Real fast spin here, slow. It drifts to the left, it's spinning to the right. You can see there's two particles there. You would never know there was two, but they all have two. You know, two gluons back to back, which make a photon. Every photon spins on its own. And the reason we can see these, I've had a lot of people say, oh, you can't see that, you can't see that. Yes, you can. We're using CMOS. CMOS, every single pixel has its own amplifier. So every single pixel that picks up any energetic signature whatsoever, you can amplify it. CERN is using the same technique now. CMOS is the way to go. Because you don't affect this whatsoever. It's only what the radiation is that you see, the pixel picks up. And they are very, 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 very sensitive. So any radiation it picks up, you can amplify in every single individual pixel. That's what CMOS is all about. So I'm showing you, we started with light. This is no question. This is zero question. This is from a pulsed red laser. Zero question about that. All of these things that you see, you just open your eyes and you can see what you see. There's nothing here that's hidden. All right, I have, well, you can't see this, you can't do that, and then they just walk away. I said, yes, we can, and we did. So anyway, that's that. And as far as I'm concerned, we do come from the light. Higgs boson. All right, Dead Sea Scrolls. This is all stuff nobody knew about until just right after World War II. Very strange time to have found these, right after World War II, 1945. Dead Sea Scrolls, Hamadi library. I mean, this was a serious amount of text. And then you got what about Gnosticism. And here he says, it is always absolutely, completely light. It's complete. It doesn't need anything else. It makes everything. All right, nothing makes it. It makes everything. Light it turns into everything that there is. It's just like a bigger snowball. And the bacteria control the sizes of the snowballs. I'm serious. I know it sounds crazy, but you have to understand catalysts and enzymes. And the universe is all biological. And some things are absolutely enormous, and some things are very, very small. There are controlling entities. I'm absolutely certain of that. The Great Flood was not an accident. It was a forecast. We're going to have this. Get ready. Build a boat. Prometheus told Deucalion, which is Noah. Prometheus was Noah's, or Deucalion's father. And Prometheus told him he's built a chest. You don't need any oars or any of that business. Just build a chest. You're going to float around for a while. And get it ready. It's got to have all these things in it. And he did. And then the flood came, just as it was predicted. And that's in the Bible too. All the ancient texts have the same story. The Colburn Bible says the seas would boil. And that's what happened as Venus almost hit Earth. All of this stuff needs to be re-examined in a whole new light. Because we are the light. All right, I love you all. Let's see if we can figure this out. I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to understanding. But it all boils down to realizing that there is a deep truth here. And then you make your own way. But I right now have to say, and openly, that the only one that I heard of that was peaceful and loving and passed that along was Jesus Christ. You know, I'm not saying the only one, but I'm saying he's the one that you hear about, and he was the one that said, I was the Son of God. And I have no reason to doubt that anymore, none whatsoever. And at one time I would have laughed at that. All right, so knowledge, Gnosticism, understanding, wisdom, it's all a journey, my friends. And from what I've studied and what I've seen and all of these texts and all of the supporting physical evidence now, the giants, the dragons, all that stuff, I can't deny any of these things anymore. I have to look at them with a completely wide open mind and then make a determination. And you should do the same, I would suggest. But again, everybody goes their own way. All right, so I love you. Let's see if, I'm going to be talking about this quite a bit probably, because I think I've established enough facts to show all the things I'm saying are material evidence. If anybody wants to address that, like, Roger, you're wrong, there are no giants. You're wrong, Roger, there are no dragons. You're wrong, Roger, there is no stuff in space. There is no blood in meteorites. There is no this, there is no that. No, let's talk. All right, the Mars crab, the Mars Morse code, the Mars blueberries. All of these things I can account for, and NASA and all these people, they have no idea. All of these comets, Comet 67P, gassing off barbecue gases. They say it smells like steak, and burning metals in space, because your blood is nothing more than metals. Primarily it's iron, but there's basically every metal there is in your blood. And they just took a sample off of Bennu, and I guarantee you that is a heart. That's an asteroid, and they know it's a metal asteroid, basically, and metal is a heart. Blood is a heart. And they took a sample back here. They have it on Earth. They can sample it right now, and I can guarantee you that's going to have a signature of whole blood. All right, so, and they have it here. There's no question. They can tell you right now if it is or not. I have all the specs of whole blood. It's well known. It's not like something I did. They know it's serum, plasma, and the whole blood. They have all the 3 different quantities and different types and, everything. So I think it's time to reconsider our existence, basically, because, again, there's going to be another realm coming after this. And that's up to you how it's going to end. As far as I'm concerned, now is the time to think and maybe reconsider things. Do whatever you want. But this has all been hidden from us. I'm only here to just expose this stuff. You see it, good for you. Good for you. All right? I love you all. Goodbye. Okay, my friends. This is from the secret book of John, and this was apparently Jesus telling John literally everything about how we were literally constructed, the human body and everything. And he's talking about where everything started, and it's all from the light. It's the light. Listen to this. He says, in order for you to understand the invisible world and the world that is visible and the immovable race of perfect humanity, raise your head, understand my lessons, share them with any others who have received the Spirit. You have to have the spirit of seeking, otherwise you're gonna mumble through, and I don't know what's going to happen to you after that. But so anyway, share them with any others who have received the Spirit, who are from the immovable race of perfect humanity. Trust me, I am far from perfect. I would like to try to go in that direction, and I'm working on it. But anyway, the inexpressible one. This is everything. This is the everything. Let's call it the everything. It says the one rules all. It's in charge of everything. Nothing has authority over it. It is the God, the Father of everything, the Holy One, the invisible one over everything. You don't ever see it. It's invisible, but it is everything. It literally is everything because it is light. It is uncontaminated, pure light. It is uncontaminated, pure light. No eye can bear to look within. You can't look into the light. It will blind you if you look into the sun. The one is the invisible spirit. You can't see it. It's there. It is not right to think of it as a God or as like God. It is more than just God. Nothing is above it. Nothing rules it. Since everything exists within it, it does not exist within anything. It is everything because it is light. Nothing exists within it. It is everything. Since it is not dependent on anything, it is eternal. It just keeps going forever. It is absolutely complete and so needs nothing. It is utterly perfect light. It's light. Light is everything. There is nothing but light. All right, here's the most important statement of all. The One is infinite light, purity, holiness, stainless. When it first is the most pure white light, then it manifests itself into everything that exists, into creatures, into water, into plants, into everything. Plants don't grow unless they have light. Without light, it's done. It's over. Light is the driving force of all biology. All right, where did you come from? We came from the light. We are children of the light. The light created everything, and it created the heavens and everything there is. And it is all created from, light is biology. All right, it's particles of biology. It really is. We are made of light. We are literally made of those particles. That's tough to say. All right, I'm going to show you actual particles of light. Jesus said, if they say to you, where did you come from? Say, we came from the light. We are literally children of the light. We are light. And he also said, whoever has come to understand the world has found only a corpse, and whoever has found a corpse is superior to the world. The world is made of light. Everything there is made of light. 100%. You and I and everything, this feather, is made of light. It adds together and it changes, and the particles glue together. But when they're particles, they are light. Just like that. And when they all together and they congeal and create matter, they become particles like this. Not like that, not big protons. Here's what they actually look like. All right, these are they smash them, and they can see these things right here when they smash their particles together. They can see those. But they're smashing things like this together. So now they're getting all of this debris everywhere. But they do see exactly what we see, because that is a photon. All right? And here we see them because we're using light, and we can watch them develop. This is what a photon looks like, exactly what they showed. And they see these also at Fermilab. They found a black particle and a glowy particle, the black and the glowy, the black and the glowy. When you take a four-banger here, which is two gluons, that's a gluon, that's a gluon. Boom, just like bar magnets. They stick together and they are tight as tight can be. And that is what a photon is. However, we were able to separate them by putting them through a Venturi. And the black separated out from the white. And then it came back together here. That's fission and that's fusion. This is literally light. And these are particles. They have a weight. And it's very small. There's 1,823 of these. This is one. This is another one. But there's 1,823 of these particles in one proton. Not one proton is a couple of quarks and this and that inside of it. We are using light. We started with basically the smallest particles that exist, and then putting them through the Venturi, we were able to separate them and cause them to completely separate. Here's going through the Venturi right here. It's coming in, and the black and the white were attached. Wait, this is not a good picture. Let me get rid of that one. Here's a better shot. The particle is accelerating. That's the particle right there of light. And at this point, it's black and white, only it's starting to glow. When it hits here, it divided and became the white and the black separated. That's the smallest particles that exist. Is these two here. And they were together, and then they came apart right here, and they came back together instantly. Because they're supposed to be together. Now, this is a physics lesson, but I'm going to tell you what, this is light. These are the smallest particles that exist. And they say that's where we came from, is the light. Now, the red is exactly like the green and exactly like the blue. They're all the same particle. See, but one of their faster spin is what it boils down to. And we created the same particles as CERN and Fermilab. They see these particles, they just don't understand them because they got all these other ones floating around too. Because when they hit one of these and they got that, we hit this and got that by putting it through the Venturi. Now, this was Rod Warren's design. He's not involved in it anymore. Apparently he doesn't want to be, so I'm on my own here trying to show you what this stuff does. And he was the one that came up with the experiments, and he knows how to do this very, very well. So it's not undoable. I'm showing you the actual experiments he did. And that is light before it accelerates. That's the acceleration, and that's the literal explosion of the particles. That's a subatomic nuclear explosion right there. Acceleration, boom. All of this stuff is not supposed to happen. These are the Higgs fields. These are the particles. All right? This one here did this, which is very strange. I do understand what happened here. It's a reverse spinning particle. There's some very strange things Rod discovered when he was doing this. Now, this is from the Russians in outer space. These are charged particles. And all the charged particles means there's an extra electron on them, which makes them glow a little bit. And they turn into DNA strands all by themselves in outer space. That looks like a DNA strand to me. And DNA is the blueprints of everything there is. Now, what that blueprint is, I have no idea. What it would end up being if you let it turn into a thing, would it turn into a thing? I don't know. It sure looks like what you see is in DNA. Now, if that was to intermingle with some oxygen and hydrogens and all kinds of different molecules sort of in a glob, which would have to have some kind of an atmosphere-ish thing, would it create life all by itself? Maybe. I don't know. But it would certainly need the presence of water, I would think. Well, I know, well, as far as I know. Anyway, this is, it's all up for speculation now, because the things that we never considered before, we need to consider. And let me show you something else, what Jesus said about when, well, let me just show you. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a couple little things. Jesus said, recognize what is in your sight, and that which is hidden from you will become plain to you, for there is nothing hidden which will not become manifest. So there is a lot of things hidden, trust me, and they are still hidden quite well right now. So you have to seek, just like he said, seek. Let him who seeks. You don't seek, forget about it. Nobody's going to want you in the next realm. And here's what he's talking about, the next realm. Jesus said, this heaven will pass away, and the one above it will pass away. Now think about this carefully. This is deep stuff. The dead are not alive. Well, you say, well, yeah, they're dead. Well, obviously, they're not alive. And the living will not die. The living will not die. In the days when you consumed what is dead, which is what we are doing right now, everything you eat is something that was dead. Virtually everything. You made it come alive. You made it what is alive. When you come to dwell in the light, when you are part of the light, what will you do? Now listen to this one. This is the killer. When you come to dwell in the light, what will you do? On the day when you were one, as we are now, you became two. You separated, the black and the white came apart, and you dwell within the light. But when you become two, what will you do? So either you go to the black or to the white, or to the, I don't know. It just struck me, yikes. You know, because everything there is comes from the sunlight, first of all, or from light of some source. I don't care where it comes from, but they're the particles of matter. As a matter of fact, here's my dipole electron flood theory right here that shows that there is only these two particles, the black and the white. That's all that exists. That's all that exists is these two particles. And they configure themselves in different ways. First of all, this is like what we would always consider an electron. Nobody ever knew about the black part. We always thought it was just a sparky little electric part. But it's not. It's a bar magnet. This is the carrier, basically, of that particle which has no weight. We can get really deep into this, but the point being is that we are part of light. We are made of these two particles. We are made of these two particles right here. There's nothing but those two particles. And the bigger they get, the more different areas of stability are these different zones. And there's only certain ones that are gases: nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, you know, and then the noble gases and so on. Anyway, every one of them has a purpose as it configures itself. So you're going to have some of them that are going to be this big, and that's going to work in the sulfur. We're going to add to the membranes, and might be phosphorus down in here somewhere, and somewhere else you're going to have calcium, and they all come together to do a job. Now, who directed them to do that? Who directed them to do that? I think bacteria did, believe it or not, because bacteria is your caretaker. It takes care of your body. It's your everything. Believe it or not, if you don't have the bacteria and the enzymes and the bacteria to gobble up the things and take them out of your body, you're going to die almost like that. You'll have no energy, you'll have no nutrition, you'll have nothing. You won't be able to break down your food. Oxygen won't be able to move. It's all done because of bacteria and the bacterial enzymes. And they are the ones that build these molecules. They didn't all come from the Big Bang. They think all that stuff just happened at the Big Bang and they're stuck and there's never going to be any more of this and then any more of cobalt or any more of phosphorus. It's just all out there and that's it. No. It's called nucleosynthesis. And that happens from enzymes. They break down these bigger things, because there's 1,823 particles in a hydrogen, or 1,825, somewhere around there, in a hydrogen, not one. And a helium is like 7,300 and something. These are up in the hundreds of thousands of particles. They have this so simplified, it's unbelievable. And in between every one of these elements, which is a zone of stability, is all it is. Some of them will have less and some of them will have more. So you're going to take, let's say this is, let's go with, I don't care, zinc. This is zinc, and it's perfectly stable, and it doesn't want to give any electrons away or take any on. But you could have this many particles are missing. This is still zinc. It's still zinc because it's not small enough yet to get down to the lower one, which is copper. All right, if you had like less particles way down here. All right, this is kind of difficult for somebody who has no chemistry or physics background, but everything they talk about protons. Well, for me, this is not a proton. A proton for me is this: 1,823 little particles, not one big mass that can be smashed into a couple of quarks. It's 1,823 dipoles, and they can be split. Now, a dipole, every one of them is this right here. So 1,823 of these, all globbed together, make up a proton. All right, and these are half of light. This is light. All right, so this is two gluons together, and they can split up, and then not only they can split apart and become electrons, basically, the electrons can come apart and become muons and electron neutrinos. All right, now what does that mean to science? Well, it means a lot. Chemistry has to change. The periodic table has to change. Because, like I say, hydrogen is not just one like this. Hydrogen is 1,825 or so. It's not a lot of changes, actually, but a few. Chemistry, then the space-time, everything's wrong about that, because light can slow down, light can speed up, but it's certainly going to slow down as it comes through space. Everything they've been talking about, all these fancy telescopes, they don't work. We have no idea where we are in space, because light is all based on the fact that it can't slow down and it can't speed up. Of course it can. Everything is saturated in space, and it does slow down, and I have shown it slow down, and I have shown it speed up. So that's not even a topic of discussion. It's there. It's no question that happens. And I've shown the particles, and they're exactly the same as Fermilab shows and CERN show. And these are the muons and electron neutrinos. And this is what the actual thing looks like. All the black goes to the center, and then there's a huge cloud of electrons on the outside, which are equal to the number of dark particles on the inside. And the bigger they get, at certain tight distances out, they lock in stability. And then they get to the next distance out, another couple thousands of particles, they lock in again. Next 10,000, they lock in again. That's what this cloud is all about. It's not a whole lot of difference, only they had one big ball in the center of positiveness and a couple tiny little particles out here. It's just not that way. This is how it works. That's my claim right now, is this works fine. The only other possibility is layered. So instead of having just one big cloud, you have layers of black and white like this. You see, it's mostly black in the center, and then right around it is where the blue is, the real tight ones. And then there's a black layer, and then a green, and then a black layer, and then the red. That's possible. Or it's just this, where it's one big black, and then real tight ones, and then a little further out, they're not quite so tight, and they're out further to the red. And that's exactly what they found at CERN. They can see exactly the same thing I'm talking about. When you see the blue ones, they take off and go because they're so tightly held to make them break free. When they go, they're gone. So pretty much with the green, too. The red sort of hang around. Let me show you the Higgs fields from CERN, and then I'll show you ours. All right, this is CERN's picture of Higgs fields. What they're doing is they're having two gigantic particles, which are protons, neutrons. They come slammed together. What are actually made out of this, not just a couple of these. When they hit the real tight-held ones, the blue ones, they go, they don't come back. The green and the yellow and so forth, they go and they don't come back usually. So the blue are gone, the yellow and the green are gone. The red are just so far out that they don't always just fly away. A lot of them stay right in the vicinity. Now we're only hitting two particles, so we don't have all this stuff. We don't have to deal with all that. We're just hitting two particles, and we're hitting them through a venturi. Right here, you see, instead of hitting them head on, which they're doing, we're forcing their fields to crush into a venturi. Same thing. It's the same thing, only they can't get apart. With theirs, they hit like this. They go that way, they go this way, they go that way, they go this way. Very hard to make them hit head on. For ours, if they can't get out of there, they have to go through that slit. And when they do, their fields crush. It's nothing more than the fields crushing hitting head on. It's exactly identical. Only we can't miss. They shoot billions. I'm serious. Billions and billions of particles at a time. Billions. And they're lucky if they get 25 or so to hit head on. They just don't do it. They have fields around them. It's like basketballs, and they go boing, and they go boing, and they go boing. But every now and then they'll hit, and then they'll go bang, and everything will go flying, and they'll see all that mess. We can't miss. Can't miss. It's right there. And when that happens, the black and the white can't exist in that in that compressed zone. The black backs out and the white squirts through, and then the black reattaches over here. But in the meantime, it's an explosion. Like when you rip that white apart from the black, they claim, and this is not my claim, in physics they claim it takes like a ton or so of ripping energy to rip that white away from that black. That's why electricity is so powerful. Electricity is just absolutely staggeringly powerful. That black and that white want to be together so much. That's the strong nuclear force. But we did divide them, and then they came back here. All right, let's finish this up. This is Fermilab. There it is. There's the black particle with the glowy edge around it, and it has all the weight, and this has no weight, but it has all the burn. And it's precisely what he says down at the bottom. In summary, the extended particles have a fixed size, the black one. They have a fuzzy edge around them. The point-like particles, and that's the color, the fuzzy edge, the point-like particles are mathematical abstractions, zero size. They have no weight whatsoever, they're white ones. But they have an extended field due to the effect of the field surrounding them. And yes, I agree, that's what we found too, that glowy little edge around there, and here it is right here. There's a black one with a glowy edge around it. There's the black one with the glowy edge around it. It's going this way through the air. That's why all these little these little white particles are glowing in front of this. This one's charging up as it's crushing through these other fields. Field to field creates energy, and that's getting big, and it'll go lip, and that one will come to the front and charge up. That's why that's smaller, that one's bigger. And that's why the smaller one can fit through the Venturi. It can squish down and go through. The black one never changes size. One size fits all. It never changes size, the black one. That's it for that one. And like I say, in space, it looks like it turns into DNA. And this is our white spray coming through. That's just nothing but white. There is no black here at all. Well, yeah, you can see a couple little blacks coming through, but very, very, very little. And the white, as soon as it does, right here is where it is actually coming back into the black. It's when the white comes together with the black, you get the Higgs fields, not the other way around. They think the Higgs fields are created or create the black and the white, but it's just the opposite. The black and the white coming back together create the Higgs fields, and then they spin off and slow down. They start like this. That's the crazy thing. They start like this, they end like this. Watch. Where is it? Here it is, right here. All right, here's how they end. Here's how they start. Here's how they start. Here's how they start. You see, this is coming this way through the air. This is before it accelerates. It's just starting to accelerate. All these particles are getting charged. It's coming through. These are nothing more than Higgs fields that are in the air, but you don't see them. You're never going to see them because they're not either accelerating or being pushed back at. We're seeing these because they're being pushed. They're in the air. They're everywhere. This is the unseen realm. This is like the invisible realm. You would never see those except they're being pushed back at now, forcing a glow. Anytime you have field to field, it's called a Kashmir effect, you have a glow. And that's field to field is a glow. Same thing as when you bounce something off and it bounces back at you, that's a glow. It depends on how hard it's hitting. This is glowing just as brilliant white as you can be. And it started out red. It should not be that. You shouldn't get this increase in energy. The only way we got it is because the black separated right here from the white. So when you were 2, and then you became 1, or when you were 1, then you became 2, what will you do? Well, you come out here and become a Higgs field. Once you get back together, I don't know. This is all confusing, very confusing realm we're in now, my friends. But this, I'm going to tell you right now, as far as I can see it, we are children of the light. We are the light. The light makes everything. It's the only place that it manifests all by itself is out of a star or a sun, a glowing luminous body. That's the only way, where it manifests all by itself. It comes to its being without any other assistance. It just happens. And I think I understand why it happens, is because we're scrubbing through the universe, through all these particles and fields. And the bigger like the sun is so big, as it scrubs through, it just makes it shoot off all these energetic particles. It's just too much energy scrubbing. It's like your tires going down the road, spinning your tires, and it's giving off all that energy. And this space is saturated with particles. So all of the things they're doing with all these instruments, looking for the furthest thing out in space, they have no idea. If it came through here, it would slow down a lot more than if it came through out here. So we don't know where that would be compared to where this would be. There's no consistency, there's no homogeneousness, there's no nothing. But I can guarantee you, there's no question whatsoever, light will slow down coming through that. No question whatsoever. And we've shown it with the blue lights slowing down. I've shown it with the red lights speeding up. You can affect the speeds, and it's not hard to do.